can't say that I have the. I've had characters that my problem is they've had unruly characters. You know, when they sort of like want to take over and they want to talk too much. So you sort of have to. Was Headley that? Came with entirely out of control at various points. It's a bit more difficult finding him because I didn't know him as well. Parts of him I knew that I have to know. So many great African American actors have been.
Nate.
Hello, sir. And all this technical.
Our technical genius.
Yes.
Well, that's all right. You got things going. I'm hoping that my connection will maintain. How are we looking? Wondering if you all hear me. Let's see. You're on here. Send me a message to let me know. I'm thinking watch Zoom or anything. There we go. You're on mute. I can't hear you. You're on mute. You up, Nate? Hey, Noah, can you hear me? It's Wilson's birthday, and welcome everybody. If you can hear and see me, this is our celebration of August Wilson, and some good folks, supremely talented artists are going to come behind me with some monologues from August Wilson plays. This whole thing was organized by our good friend Nate Couser, my good brother from Arena Players, my home theater in Baltimore. Well, okay. Which is all right, because this is what we do. We're just connected and we're a community, and we're going to make a way out of this some sort of way. The point of our gathering is to celebrate August Wilson. Here we are in these challenging times. There's Nate. And it's so good to be able to be connected with folks, because community is what's important, especially in these challenging times where we don't know day to day what might be going on. So,
I'm with you, sir. I'm with you.
There we go. Okay. Glad to see you, brother.
Thank you so much.
And again, thank you for gathering this, man.
Thank you for accepting. I was kind of going through my. Sorry, this is going on too much. Uh,
Okay.
but going through my Rolodex of people, I couldn't find anybody that would probably be the best person to talk to about August Wilson. Um, in this type of moment, I've heard stories of yours before, and I just wanted to, in this moment, in this kind of box, kind of give some type of reference for who he was and what he was. I was never able to meet him in person, and I know you have. And you've been in a number of his productions before, and I wanted to just give a brief conversation on his legacy, on his life, and your connection to him, or to his work rather. So Jeff is probably having a little bit of a connection issue. So I'm gonna go right uh into what we're doing today. Thank you to everybody that's tuned in, that's watched in. This is a tribute to August Wilson, in a series of reading theory series that I'm doing throughout this quarantine, as I said in the very beginning. And I want everybody to sit back, relax. We have a number of phenomenal actors. Again, we have Kyle Jackson, Alma Brown, Joshua Dixon, George Bunton, and we got Noah Salas. And then we have an actual clip from a young man out in Alabama right now, Mr. Tim Craig. He wasn't able to join us today live, but I have a clip of his, and we're going to play that throughout this presentation today as well. So I'm going to first say thank you to everybody who's tuned in again. I'm going to give a big shout out to everybody who has been supporting this series, everybody who has either donated or sponsored in some way, shape, or form. And I'm really excited about what we're doing here. I don't want to spend a lot of time talking. August Wilson for me is means a lot to me as an artist. He means a lot to me as a black man. August Wilson work speaks not just to black men, but around black men, our various hues and our various levels, and who we are as black men. And he did his best to kind of give us a cross section of who we are as black men as it relates to being actors and just how we relate to each other. Many of his pieces either highlight or spotlight a really a poignant issue that happens in the black community. He did not distance himself from his upbringing or his culture, but he did more so give us a kind of a inside view of what it was like for him growing up in Pittsburgh. And most of his work, if not all of his work, really is universal, and it's really timeless, and it really speaks to who we are as black men, as black people, as people in general, how we have relationships with each other, how we deal with our crises, how we are as family, how we treat our fellow brothers and sisters. And the collection of talented individuals that we have today, we are. I am muted. I'm totally muted. Am I muted? Yeah, so I'm going to go without further ado. I'm going to bring back on. I don't hear myself at all. I'm going to bring back on Jeff. Sorry, I've been muted this whole time. But I'm going to see if he's back up.
No, you weren't muted, Nate. We could hear you. So you covered it all as far as his legacy. And one of the wonderful things that, well, he's done something that no one else has. Um, he he captured the 20th century, each decade in plays. No other playwright has ever done that in such a prolific and profound way. And he has, August Wilson has connected us from Aunt Esther and Jim of the Ocean at the beginning of the century to Harmon Wilkes and Radio Golf, the last play of the 90s that captured the 1990s. He captured our whole journey, and not just of the 20th century, but well before that. And he also projected into the future. He talked about gentrification in Radio Golf, of course. And Astor symbolized our anchor to our ancestors. And I don't know what his significance is. It's really hard to describe, and there's no way to overstate, in my view, his significance to our culture, theater, certainly Black theater, and all of these things. So he was significantly and profoundly influenced by the Black arts movement in the 60s. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, my camera comes in and out. All I need is a hype man behind me, then I'd really be Teddy Riley because of my camera and my technical stuff. But yeah, he was profoundly encouraged by the Black arts movement, Black power movement, the Panthers, all of these things. And you can see all of that in his works. You even mentioned that I had met him. I did. I met him at the National Black Theater Festival down in North Carolina, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I think that might have been 1997 or 99. It was one of the first couple of times that I went down there. I don't want to make it seem at all like we had a significant amount of time together, because he was passing by. He had just come from, or was on his way to, some panel discussion about his works and Black theater and all of that. And he was gracious enough to take some pictures with a few folks, and I happened to be one of them. So it's not like I wish I could say that we shared a meal together and he imparted such wisdom and we were best buddies and all of that, but that's not the case. So yeah, I happened to take a picture with him. But his impact on me has been profound in that I have connected. I never knew my grandparents, specifically my grandfathers. My paternal grandfather passed away, I think, the year that I was born, so I never knew him. But I feel as if I have gotten to know him through the works of August Wilson. Him and my mother's father, her grandparents, and the whole line, because of what he has poured into his work, the significance of family, the significance of community, the significance of these links that we have to our ancestors, and the importance of what we leave forward, what we pass down to those who come behind us so that they can move forward. All of these are encapsulated in his works. So what else, Nate?
Lastly, in terms of just his impact on us as Black actors, and how he kind of broke down those barriers and went beyond just Black theater and became really a mouthpiece for us as Black men, as a community. His work seems like he just went out into the community and just started writing versus just going back from memories or a history book. Did you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. excuse me, in some of the interviews that I've seen when he's talked about his process, his writing process, one of the things that I remember him saying that sometimes it was a matter of him sort of getting out of the way, just being a vessel for these voices so that they could be heard
Mm-hmm.
and get them on paper. So he's in many ways he is the voice of those who had never been represented on before
Right.
in such a profound way. Um, there's a direct connection between his work and also the work in Lloyd Richards, of course. And Lloyd Richards was such a profound influence and connection or relationship with August Wilson
Mm-hmm.
in his early development. Um, um, and I mentioned this, Lorraine Hansberry gave to what her significance we've seen before at that time,
Mm-hmm.
telling these stories of a family that's striving for something better for themselves, living in a tenement in Chicago, and the story of a son who wanted better for
Mm-hmm.
his family that had never been
Right.
voiced before. And that's the same legacy that August Wilson has with his characters. And as as a people, um, as actors and artists, we get to do that. We get to play these roles, and in many ways, it's a matter of getting out of the way and letting those voices be heard because they're already a part of us. This is something that was imparted to me by director Timothy Douglas, whom I'm.
So we are, uh, unfortunately, Jeff has been cut out. So without further ado, we're going to play a couple commercials that we had from some really special businesses that decided to sponsor us and sponsor this series. So I want you to get ready. Take a couple seconds. Our actors are getting lined up, and we're going to jump right into this. So I appreciate you all for tuning in and sit tight. We are ready.
If loving you is just a dream, then let me rest forever. It's just me and you and right now, baby. Will you be the one? Will you be the one? Will you be the one to take my heart away?
How you doing, sir? You up? Should I? Let me see if I can use the other one. We're having a little bit of a scrummish. So we're having a bit of some technical issues. So you ready? You ready, sir? I'm gonna try to move on, and so we can get Kyle up and ready. But if
Hello?
yeah, you good?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I don't know what happened there, but
You good? So we got two screens up. So let me take one down, and we'll be ready to go. So this is Kyle A. Jackson. Kyle is a good friend of mine and a young man that I've met quite some time ago. And he is, well, let me let you introduce yourself, sir.
all right. Well, yeah, Nate, me and Nate been knowing each other since what, 2005.
Hmm.
Um, I was going to Coppin at first after Hurricane Katrina. I'm from originally from New Orleans, and uh, hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Sorry, and yeah, I was originally from New Orleans, dealing with Hurricane Katrina and everything, and I came to Coppin, was there for a little while, and then I transferred to Morgan, and I eventually ended up graduating from Morgan, where I met Amma, who's also in this program. Hi, Amma. Haven't seen Amma in a very long time.
Mhm.
And yeah, so like I live in New York now. I'm still an actor. I'm still doing stuff in theater. I'm writing now as well. I'm a playwright as well, journalist, creative writer, all that stuff. So yeah, today is really exciting for me because August Wilson is one of my inspirations. I've done a few of his plays before, so yeah, this is gonna be great.
So can you tell me what pieces you'll be doing today, and maybe a brief little synopsis as to why you chose them?
Okay, well, King, the first one I'm going to be doing is King Hetley the Second, from King Hetley the Second, which is his play from the '80s series. King Hetley the Second. I chose that one for many different reasons. One, it was because a teacher once suggested it to me because, like in the play, King Hetley talks about the scar on his face, and I have a scar on my face on my forehead, and that was where like the connection to King Hetley kind of came from, especially in the monologue that I'm gonna do. He's talking a lot about you know having this scar and having this scar be like a reminder of like a lot of the things that have happened in his life, and I have a connection to him because of that, because of my scar, and like the connection to like the things that have happened to me, the things that people have said about me, the bullying I received because of this scar. So I kind of connected in that way, and then it just kind of like went from there. Also it was the play from the '80s, and I'm a child of the '80s. I was born in the '80s, so like this what was going on in this play was what was happening, you know, when around the time that I was born,
Right.
around the time that I was coming into, myself. So um yeah, I have a connection because of that. The other piece that I'm going to be doing is Levy from Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
Okay.
Um, Levy is a member of the band of Ma Rainey's band. He is like the person in the play that's kind of like they look at him as like almost like the coon or something like that. From what I've read, I read the play a long time, but and in this monologue, he talks about how their perception of them is not what 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 it really is, and it's one of the first monologues that I did from August Wilson, and I I kind of connected with Levy because Levy is misunderstood, and like there was a lot of times in my life where I felt misunderstood. I
Mm-hmm.
felt like people didn't understand why I was doing the things that I was doing and stuff like that. So I connected in that way to Levy because he's a misunderstood character. And the last one I'm going to be doing is Memphis um, from uh, from I'm sorry, Two Trains Running.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Memphis is the monologue is very like anti what's going on right now, like the last century, or the last not the last century, I'm sorry, the last decade, with what we see going on, like this resurgence of like a bit of a black power movement. Not saying it ever went anywhere, but because of some of the things that's been going on, it's coming back. And Memphis, in this monologue, Memphis offers a different perspective on that particular type of movement. And I tend to be more part of the black power movement myself, but there's certain things that Memphis, says in this monologue. I'm like, oh, you know what? He got a point. And like, I like to do monologues from characters who have something in common with me, but at the same time are very different from who I am.
Right.
And something that I can draw from. I can draw from something that we have in common, but I also have room to create something that is so outside of who I am. And so like that's the reason why I chose all these characters, because none of them are me. None of them have a lot in common with me, but there's one thing that each one of them have in common with me that I
Right.
can kind of pull from. So,
So without further ado, I'm gonna just back up and let you do what you do best. So this is Kyle A. Jackson, actor and all around creative energy. So without further ado, go ahead, Kyle. Do your thing.
all right. First up is King Hedley. Tanya, look at that. That dirt hard, that dirt rocky, but it's still growing. I ain't never looked in no flower before. I ain't never tried to grow none. I was coming out the drugstore and they had them seeds on the counter, and I said, I'm gonna try this. Grow Tanya some flowers. I ain't got nothing to lose but $1. I'll pay $1 to see how it's gonna turn out. Ruby made me feel like they wasn't gonna grow. Made me feel like I should have left them there at the store, but they still growing. It almost stepped on them, and they still growing. That's what made me think of Purnell. Purnell stepped on me, and I pulled his life out by the root. That make me. That don't make me no big man. People see me coming and they turn and they go the other way. They look at their hands funny after they shake my hand. They try to pretend they don't see my scar when that's all they looking at. I used to think Purnell did that to me, but I did that to myself. Purnell put the scar on my face, but I put the bigger mark on myself. That's why I need this baby, Tanya. Not because I took something. All right? You still there?
Yeah, we still there. Keep going.
All right. So the next monologue I'm going to do, as I said, is Levy from Marina's Black Bottom. Levy got to be Levy, and he don't need nobody mess with him about the white man, because you see, you don't know nothing about me. You don't know nothing about what kind of blood I got, what kind of heart I got beating in my chest. I was 8 years old when I watched a gang of white men come to my father's house and do with my mama any way they wanted to. We was living in Jefferson County, about 80 miles outside of Natchez. My daddy named. Come on now.
I've been fortunate. I had great cast. Everything may go out. You know, we've been able to assemble very good cast. So it's another blessing that I count. It's great to have you here. Pleasure. It is always good to have you here, and much success. Some kind of warmth in the light. I don't want to live cold house. It's a cold world. Let me have a little shelter from it. That's all I want. Lloyd Barker's going to have his minute. Lloyd Barker's going to Chicago. Lloyd. 7 Guitars opening on Broadway March 28th. Pleased to have back on this program August Wilson. There's so much to talk about, but let me just say, you still have a lot of decades, 2 at least, to explore. I mean, there's plenty of time for you to write a lot of other plays exploring the Black experience. I have the 80s and the 90s and the first decade. From 1900 to 1910, you can still, exactly. There's a richness there to go explore. Why are you doing this? Why is this your theme? Well, I wrote my first 3 plays and I set them in different decades. And I thought, why don't I just continue to do this? And as it began to grow, it gave me a focus and something to concentrate on.
How you doing, sir?
Hey.
Sorry, we're going through a couple changes, but we here and we're gonna make it work. We got Mr. Noah Silas. Can you introduce yourself, sir?
Yes. Noah Silas, actor, director, DJ, model, born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland, professional actor. So excited to be working with Nate here and excited to be doing some August Wilson monologues. I think it's very important that we keep his legacy alive.
Yes. So, like theater, the show must go on, and we are without flaws, but I am really appreciative of you, sir, for joining us. So my first question to you is, what has August Wilson's impact been on your life?
Well, I'm a graduate of Baltimore School for the Arts, and when I went there, I know they have a new head of the theater department now, but when I went there, we mostly learned about classic theater, a lot of European and Australian theater, but not African American theater, not African theater. So it wasn't until I was, deep into my schooling, like junior, senior year, and as I graduated from high school, was when I discovered Black theater, and more specifically discovered August Wilson. And the first play that I read from him, and the first play I've done from him, was Joe Turner's Come and Gone, was at the Vagabond Theater, and ever since then I've just been madly in love with his work.
How can you, in terms of, you've also been a teaching artist. how have you kind of included his style or specifically his work into how you perform, how you teach, and then ultimately how you create? Has his work played any influence on any of those elements of yourself?
Absolutely. It's always good for black and brown bodies to see works that represent themselves, their stories, and just their everyday lives. So I always used him, and a lot of just specific to Baltimore, a lot of local playwrights and authors who are black, just to show them self representation. And then even just to encourage them, because as a theater teacher, sure, I introduced August Wilson. We read plays, and we would analyze the play for subtext as you would in any other play, and such. And then we work on monologues, and maybe we would do a scene for a showcase. But just using August Wilson, I always encourage the students to write for themselves. Make the new story. Represent just update the representation of what it means to be a black or brown body in America. So I always use him not as a staple of good works for actors to perform, but also as a beacon for you to create your own works and to represent your own community in writing.
Many of his interviews that he did over the years kind of denote he was self-taught. He dropped out of high school and he kind of created his own vehicle and was able to create a series of plays, a cycle of plays that was honest, that was intelligent, that was intellectual, but yet it's still honest and very much so down to earth. And as artists in our Baltimore community, as you and I come from, uh, it is our job to be that honest. Uh, at the top of every class that I teach, the first day of every class, I teach an acronym ACTOR, a commitment to our roots. And his work definitely spoke to that direct connection that we have to our roots and the responsibility that we have for telling all of our stories. As a black man that is also an actor and so many more things in the creative field, how has that honesty kind of lent itself to how you actually create?
I,
Or do you feel that sense of obligation to be that honest in your telling?
I think that I don't know if anybody else has experienced this, who has a specific journey when it comes to art of being a black artist, and then going to
Hmm.
predominantly white conservatories and white training, and then having to go through that switch and that crossover, right? So essentially for me,
Right.
like that switch and that crossover from going to like the European the Eurocentric style of theater to a black and Afrocentric style of theater is truth. It is like that heavy, nothing is held back, even if it's not issues that are directly named or titled, but just its nuances and how its collateral effects can cause entire ripples in our and black and brown bodies culture and society. And that can be with economic, schooling, food, etc. So I really think that August Wilson, again, as I said earlier, is a beacon for not only artists to perform, but
Hmm.
to create writers to make that honest, that real, that representation. And and how can you truly give representation without full honesty?
Right. Uh, has and I don't want to just every word be about August Wilson, but I discovered him later in life, like in college, and it after doing Shakespeare and Lorraine Hansberry over and over and over and over again. It was a breath of fresh air to see myself depicted as a black man. And I don't care what walk of life you in. If you look at any cycle, any play in his cycle, you find yourself in at least one character. And I can't really think of another playwright that was that consistent in terms of writing plays that specifically show the point of view of many different types of black men. Uh, can you speak to the need of more of that?
Absolutely, and and even on um, this day that we're honoring August Wilson, I even have criticism for it. To answer the question, it's very, very important to have representation of the black male and the black male experience. One, it needs to be continuously represented and updated because we change with decade, we evolve, we're just evolving creatures as human, and that's with all humans, black male, black female, white woman, Asian male. But the criticism is, I just saw Radio Golf, Everyman in November. I know that was the last play that he wrote. And it could be the attest to the actress who played the main character's name. I forgot what is his name. He was like running for mayor or something. But his wife in Radio Golf. The actress,
Main.
yes, the actress was portraying it so well, so much that the audience was just
Mhm.
itching and just starving for more stage time for her, and it just wasn't written. And you can say that in many plays that a lot of black women wasn't well represented or just underrepresented into his show, which is fine because we can name a plethora of plays where black women are represented. So this is a avenue and a
Right.
foundation for black men to be represented. But that criticism says, for me and all the rest of us who are alive now, as we write our stories, make sure that we have full, honest representation of all underrepresented folks.
And I Radio Golf is that piece for me where kind of heartbreaking every time I see it because I know he didn't really have the time to cultivate it and kind of uh, maneuver it the way he did with the rest of his pieces. And that he died right before. I don't think the show had even been done before his death. And we did it actually right here at Center Stage. I believe the first professional performance of it was done here at Center Stage, and it was just heartbreaking to see that one piece not really get the kind of the playtime that the rest of them did. Is there anything else that you want to speak to in terms of August Wilson's impact on you, our culture, theater, black theater, or just writing in general?
Absolutely, I think that he was my Jordan Peele before Jordan Peele, um, because
Right.
because his use of spirituality and just mysticism and mystery, his use of spirits and religion is very, very subtle.
Hmm.
There are some plays where it hits it head on. There are some plays where it skates around it, but it's there. But and then it shows up just at a random time, but right on time. But regardless if it's head on or it's in a collateral sense, the use of spiritual nature and spirituality in his plays, I think, is very, very good. Is very effective, and it really
Right.
makes you think, because that is a big part of the black experience here in America and anywhere around the world, is our spirituality and where we stand as far as spirituality in the world, and how it affects our
Right.
family, how it affects our marriage, how it affects our children, how it affects others and how they see us. So I like how he uses spirituality, and I like how he uses it in every play, and he's very crafty with it because it's not overbearing. Some stories it isn't a need for it to be named and talked about, but it is a need for it
Right.
to be the essence of the story. So excellent work for him.
So, without further ado, we'll be able to talk to our actors a little bit towards the end. But without further ado, Mr. Noah Silas.
I got to play the hand that was dealt to me. You look around and you see black. You look at the calendar Slavery's over. I mean, I'm a free man. I can get up whenever time I feel like in the morning. I can move all over and pick any woman I want. I can walk down the street to the store and buy anything my money will buy. There ain't nothing I can't have. I'm starting out with nothing, so I got to get a little something, a little piece to start. You look and you see the race you got to run is different than somebody else's. Maybe it's got more hills, it's longer, but this is what I got. Now what? Now what to do with it? I look around. And I see where niggas got to eat and niggas got to sleep. I say, if I had some bread, I'd be a rich man. I got some bread. In the Valley of the Blind, the one-eyed man is king. I started selling hoe cakes off the back of a wagon. I cooked them over the coals. I got me some beans, sell them right out the pot. I even put a little pork in them. Police ran me off the corner. I say I need a license. It took me a little while, but I got me a license. I had to pay 6 or 7 people, but I got me a license. Niggas say my bowl's too small. I got bigger bowls. Say I don't put enough pork in the beans. I put more pork in the beans. I get some chicken. I charged extra for the big ones, and the people got mad. One man told me the chicken had big feet, but they didn't have big wings. I seen I was in the wrong business. Say I was going to let these niggas eat on their own and give them a place to sleep. Say I was going to let these niggas eat on their own and give them a place to sleep. Only I ain't had no money to buy no property. Went down to the bank, borrowed some money. They told me I need some collateral. So you need something to borrow money against. I said, all right, I get some collateral. I opened up a gambling joint in the back of a barber shop, sold whiskey. Police closed it down. I had to put some bullet holes in a couple niggas, and the police arrested me. Put me on the county farm. I had to bust a couple niggas upside their head for trying to steal my food. A couple niggas tried to escape. I caught them. That don't do nothing but make it harder on everybody else. They out there enjoying their freedom, ducking and dodging the law, and everybody else on half a ration. They got to make up their work. Fella named John Hanson started a riot. I seen that it wasn't going to be nothing but bad news. I took him on one, man to man. He busted my eye. That's why I can't see good out this one eye. He busted my eye, but I put down the riot. They gave me a year. I did 6 months. When the mayor called me in his office, called me to see me, say he want to put me in charge of the 3rd ward, told me, you fry the little fish and send the big fish to me. They gave me a gun and a badge. I took my badge and gun, went down to the bank, laid it on the counter and told him, I want to borrow some money on that. Had a whole mess of men catch him. Just go out hunting regular like you go out hunting possum. He catch you and go home to his wife and family. Ain't thought about you going home to yours. Joe Turner catch me when my little girl was just born. Wasn't nothing but a baby sucking on her mama's titty when he caught me. Joe Turner caught me in 1901. Kept me 7 years until 1908. Kept everybody 7 years. You go out hunting, bring back 40 men at a time. Kept them all 7 years. I was walking down the road in this little town outside of Memphis. Come up on these fellas gambling. I was the deacon of the Abundant Life Church, and I stopped to preach to these fellows to see if maybe I can turn some of them from their sinning when Joe Turner, brother of the governor of the great state of Tennessee, swooped down and grabbed us, grabbed everybody there, and kept us all 7 years. My Martha, gone from me after Joe Turner catch me, got from under Joe Turner on his birthday. Me and 40 other men put in our 7 years, and he let us go on his birthday. I made it back to Henry Thompson's place where me and Martha were sharecroppers, and Martha's gone. She take my little girl and left her with my mama and took off north. We've been looking for her ever since. And that's what's been going on now for 4 years. We've been looking. It's the only thing I think I know how to do. I just want to see her face so I can get me a starting place in the world. The world got to start somewhere. That's what I've been looking for. I've been wondering a long time in somebody else's world. When I find my wife, that'll be the making of my own. Did y'all hear Petey Brown killed his old lady last night? Called her in the Ellis Hotel with his best friend, killed him too. Now that's why I don't have no woman. When I die, every woman in Pittsburgh is gonna cry. They ain't gonna know what to do with themselves. My woman come and told me she had another man. I told her, all right, baby, but he can't hear and he can't see. And he can't see like I do. And you got to be able to pull a whole box carts to be able to keep up with me. I'm like Prophet Samuel. If a man can get 7 women, and if he can find 7 women want to be with him, let him have them 7 women and 1 or 2 more. 7 women want to lay down with him, must see something they like. Hell, it's hard to get 1, let alone 7. It's hard to get 1 you can trust that far. See, when you lay down with her, trusting her with your life, you lay down and you got to close your eyes. It wouldn't be nothing for somebody to walk up and slit your throat, but that's why you lock the door at night. You lock the door and it just be you and her. That's a whole lot of trust there. If I had that, I wouldn't give it up for nothing. Other than that, when I die, every woman in Pittsburgh is going to cry. Thank y'all. That was it. That was my 3.
How you doing, sir?
What's up, man?
Yo, I'm just cheeseburger after this. This is what's happening. Uh, so this lineup is made up of young guys that I've come across, that I've worked with, that I've seen work, and I wanted to kind of bring together a bunch of young black men. We got a lady on the lineup too, so I see Alma sitting there stewing and she getting ready. But up next, we got Mr. Joshua Dixon, phenomenal artist. I've watched you almost grow up a little bit. I met you at Arena Players, and then you went away and you got your little education and got all learned on this and whatnot, and
Right.
brought all that talent back from college, and I've been seeing you busting out one role after another. And I know how much love you have for August Wilson, so I'm gonna let you just tell us the legacy that you see from your perspective, and what impact has he had on your life thus far as a black man, as a black actor.
Well, first off, hello world. My name is Joshua Dixon. I am an actor, stand-up comedian from Baltimore, Maryland. Um, I'm a graduate of Wilberforce University, the first privately uh, run HBCU in the country, with a degree in psychology. And August Wilson means everything to me as far as theater is concerned. I think I got, ain't even a think. My first play that I saw of August Wilson's was Two Trains Running at Baltimore's Center Stage when I was, I want to say at least 10, 11. Might have been about 10 or 11 years old. I went to Center Stage and saw professionals tackle August Wilson for the first time in my life. First time I seen August Wilson was on a professional stage. And so, you know what I'm saying? So it's different for me. I didn't see it at a school. I didn't read piano lesson in the ninth grade. I actually saw professionally done when I was a kid. And that, once I seen that, it was a wrap for theater period. And so after that, I just started following the guy. And his work speaks for itself. The man did 100 years. He chronicled 100 years in 10 plays of the African American experience. There's no playwright in history that has chronicled or has gone in depth of a culture the way that he did. And he did it from 1900 to 1990 to the 1990s. That's crazy, and that's unheard of. And for the man to this day to still not be celebrated as the not African American playwright, not the best black playwright, the best playwright. Period.
Right.
Hands down. I mean, Arthur Miller is cool. Chekhov is cool. You know what I'm saying? Tennessee Williams, who's another guy who has a plays, who has a lot of plays. O'Neill, all those guys are great. They do great work. But nobody did what he did. And that sets him apart. He's not even in the he shouldn't even be in the same conversation with those guys. No pun intended. Honestly, because what he did was totally different from what they did.
He created a whole different lane for playwrights.
Come on, man. For playwrights, for actors. That's how actors were working in the 90s, in the late 80s and 90s, was through August Wilson. You know what I'm saying?
It really being introduced to his work through Meanie Courts at Coppin, and then again as I went on and started really researching it myself, I couldn't think of another person that has done what he did for black actors. So much so that we are told before we go to an audition, we don't want to see this audition piece no more, because we've gone to his work so much because we connected to it.
That's right. He the man.
How has his work for you specifically as a thespian, a black actor? What has that meant for you in terms of creating your own work, or what goes into you choosing what you want to do in terms of a playwright, in terms of his inspiration on you?
Just being fearless, taking risks, being truthful in your work, in whatever you do, whether it's writing, whether it's acting, you know what I'm saying? I mean, he is why why I continue to do what I do. You know what I mean? When there are days,
Mm-hmm.
and all actors and all artists in any form, you know what I mean? If you've been doing it for a long time, you know what I mean? Not to say you get bored, but you lose, like it's the hunger for it dies down a little bit. Um, and all I got to do is I got all 10 of his plays. So all I got to do is
Right.
just go and pick up one, and it starts back, you know, it starts it back up. You know what I mean? So that's why, you know, and then I
Right.
take, and what I do to heal myself as an artist is I take time off,
Yeah.
to build back up the hunger. I've been doing this since I was 5.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, it becomes a little, you know, the hunger for it can, you know, cannot be so strong when you've done it for a long time. So you got to pull yourself back to recharge and reboot yourself. And so that's what I do.
Speak to the fact that this man dropped out of high school. He was self-taught. It was his mom kind of introduced him to poetry and writing, but this man self-taught himself to be a
Yeah,
playwright.
yeah.
Can you
He went
speak
to the
to
library.
in terms
The
right?
man went. The teacher. What happened was the incident that happened was he wrote a essay,
Mm-hmm.
and he turned the essay in. And August's real name is Frederick Kittles. That's his birth
Okay.
name. It's Frederick Kittle. Um, and so he wrote the essay. The essay was so damn good, that when he turned it in, the teacher was like, "Oh hell nah, I know you ain't write this," and gave him an F on it. And that was the day
Mm,
when he decided, that he wasn't going to school no more. Um, because the teacher didn't believe that it was actually him. And I think she gave him a chance to write it over again, I think. And
right.
he wrote it again, and she
Mm-hmm.
still was like, hell nah, nah. And that was the
Right.
last straw for him. And so he went to the library, and from that day on, he self-educated himself in the library. And
Mm,
he started writing poetry. Black Bart, which I think was his first installation, um,
right.
was Black Bart, and Jitney, I think, followed after that. Jitney was actually his first play that he wrote. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that was the first play that he wrote. First, check this out. That was the first play that he wrote, and the last play to go to Broadway.
And I think that was the only play that he won a award for, actually.
That was the only play that that was the only play up to last year that never been on Broadway.
Mm-hmm.
All
Mm-hmm.
those years, all those directors, all those famous actors that have been in those plays through rep theaters, through off Broadway theaters, um, it never popped. It never, you know. And Jitney is a
Right.
woo.
Yeah.
That's a banger. And me personally, I think that it didn't want to show um the wrestle and tussle between a black father and black son.
It
I think it was too much it was too much
yeah.
for Broadway back then.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just the story behind why he went to jail, and that whole just
Mm-hmm.
August is an animal. He a beast when it, man.
It really so as and if y'all don't know, Josh has a plethora of other titles under his name. He's a comedian. He's a guru behind the tech, beyond being a great actor. But he's also he works in the school system.
Yeah.
And for me, one of the first things I do when I start a class is I fill up that room with black faces. And I've gotten not necessarily written up, but a lot of slaps on the hands from many of my principals and administrators because I don't always fairly distribute the imagery. And for
Right.
me, somebody like August Wilson, the fact that he's not being studied in our English classes, the fact that he's not being promoted in our history classes, because this man created a whole timeline of the
Like, I don't
20th
understand,
century.
Nate. I don't get it. Like, I don't get it. Like, how is
Mm-mm,
he not? How
mm-mm.
is he not a mandatory literature class, or his play anyone? It don't even matter. It don't even matter.
Yeah,
It should be a
yeah.
part of the curriculum. His plays should
Hmm.
be a part of the curriculum
Just
around
that
the
10
country.
cycles could be a curriculum. Right, 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 right. You have I've seen colleges as I'm researching where do I want to go back to school at, and I've seen some schools that have classes on Lil Wayne or Tupac, but this man has constantly been overlooked, not only by just the theater community, but us as Black people. We fail to even bring him up beyond if you don't have a connection with literature or the theater world, you really don't know him, and it's a
Hmm.
shame. I just interviewed. I saw a Femi was online, and they included that uh, in their latest project, Sins of a Father. One of the cuts on there, and it his honesty about the male perspective
Hmm.
is a course all in of itself before you even get to the work, the body of work he has.
Hmm.
Do you think we, or what do you think we should do in terms of like for me as a teacher, I always include him in my lessons, in my classroom. All his plays are always posted, but how can we get him as a part of our educational system?
That's something that me and you will talk about later. Um,
Hmm. Okay, so I'm gonna just shut up because people
yeah.
came to hear you perform. So I'm gonna let you get and do what you do. So this is Joshua Dixon. Please, please, please show him some love. And this is Josh. Can't
All
say no
right.
more.
All right. So the three pieces that I'll be doing is the first piece is from Two Trains Running. I'll be playing Holloway. The second piece is Fences. I'll be playing Troy. And the third piece is Piano Lesson, where I'll be playing uh, Boy Willie. Two Trains Running. People kill me talking about niggas is lazy. Niggas is the most hardworking people in the world. For 300 years for free and ain't take no lunch hour. Now all of a sudden niggas is lazy, don't know how to work. All of a sudden when they got to pay niggas, ain't no work for them to do. If it wasn't for you, the white man would be poor. Every little bit he got standing on top of you. That's why he can reach so high. He give you $3 a day for 6 months, and he got him a railroad for the next 100 years. All you got is 6 months worth of $3 a day. Now you can't even get that. Ain't no money in niggas working. Look out there on the street. If there was money in it, if the white man could figure out a way to make some money by putting niggas to work, we all be working. He ain't building no more railroads. He got them. He ain't building no more highways. Somebody already done stuck the telephone pole in the ground. That's been done already. The white man ain't stacking no more niggas. You, you know what I'm talking about? Stacking niggas, don't you? Well, here's how that go. If you ain't got none, you can go out there and get you a nigga. Then you got something. See, you got one nigga. If that one nigga get out there and plant something, get something out the ground. Even if it ain't nothing but a bushel of potatoes, then you got one nigga and one bushel of potatoes. Then you take that bushel of potatoes and go get you another nigga. Then you got two niggas. Put them to work, and you got two niggas and two bushel of potatoes. See, now you can go buy you two more niggas. That's how you stack a nigga on top of a nigga. White folks got to stack. And I'm talking about they stacked up some niggas, stacked up to about close to 50 million niggas. If you stack them on top of one another, they make 6 or 7 circles around the moon. It's lucky the boat didn't sink with all them niggas they had stacked up there. If it take them 2 extra months to get here because it rides so low in the water. They couldn't find you enough work back then. Now that they got to pay you, they can't find none. If this was a different world, shit, it wouldn't be nobody out there on the street. They all be in the cotton field. Fences, Troy. Death. Death ain't nothing. I done seen him. Done wrestle with him. You can't tell me nothing about death. Death ain't nothing but a fastball on the outside corner, and you know what I do to that. Look here, Bono. Am I lying? You get one of them fastballs about waist high over the outside corner of the plate where you can get the meat of the ball on it, and good God, you can kiss it goodbye. Now, am I lying? Look here, Bono. I looked up one day and death was marching straight at me like soldiers on a parade. The army of death was marching straight at me. The middle of July, 1914. It got real cold, like winter. Seemed like death himself reached out and touched me on the shoulder. He touched me just like I touch you. I got cold as ice, and death standing there grinning at me. I say, what you want? What you want, Mr. Death? You be wanting me. You done bought your army to get me. I looked him dead in the eye. I wasn't fearing nothing. I was ready to tangle just like I'm ready to tangle now. The Bible say be ever vigilant. That's why I get but so drunk. I got to keep watch. Yeah, Death standing there, staring at me, carrying that sickle in his hand. Finally, he say, you weren't bound over for another year. See, just like that. You weren't bound over for another year. I told him, bound over hell, let's settle this now. Seemed like he kind of fell back when I said that. And all the cold went out of me. I reached down and grabbed that sickle and threw it just as far as I could throw it. Ooh, and me and him commenced to wrestling. We wrestled for 3 days and 3 nights. I can't say where I found the strength from. Every time it seemed like he was going to get the best of me, I'd reach way down deep inside myself and find the strength to do him one better. All right. At the end of the third night, we done weakened each other to where we can't hardly move. Death stood up, throwed his robe on, had him a white robe with a hood on it. He throwed on that robe and went off and looked for his sickle. Say, I'll be back. Just like that. I'll be back. I told him, yeah, but yeah, you're gonna have to find me. I wasn't no fool. I wasn't going looking for him. Death ain't nothing to play with. And I know he's gonna get me. I know I got to join his army, his camp followers, but as long as I keep my strength and I see him coming, as long as I keep my vigilance, he gonna have to fight to get me, because I ain't going easy. Boy Willie, piano lesson. See now, I tell you a little something about me. I done strung along, going this way and that. Whatever way would lead me to a moment of peace. And that's all I want. To be easy with everything. But I wasn't born to that. I was born to a time of fire. The world ain't want no part of me. I could see that since I was about 7. The world say it's a better place off without me. See, Bernice, accept that. She trying to come up to where she could prove something to the world. Hell, the world a better place because of me. I don't see it like Bernice. I got a heart that beats here and it beats just as loud as the next fella. Don't care if he black or white. Sometimes it beat louder. And when it beat louder, then everybody can hear it. Some people get scared. They get scared of that, like Bernice. Some people get scared to hear a nigger's heart beating. They think you ought to lay low with that heart. Keep quiet and go along with everything the way that it is. But my mama ain't birthed me for nothing. So what I gotta do? I gotta mark my passing on a road just like you write on a tree. Boy Willie was here. That's all I'm trying to do with that piano. Trying to put my mark on the road like my daddy done. My heart saved for me to sell that piano and get me some land so I can make me a life of my own. Other than that, I ain't thinking about what Bernie's got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I really appreciate it. Talented. Everybody give it up for Mr. Joshua Dixon. We're gonna keep it moving. We're gonna keep it moving. Stay tight, Josh. We got Kyle Jackson. We got him back up and running, and we're gonna bring Mr. Kyle Jackson back on. So we're gonna say goodbye for a second to Mr. Josh. So don't go anywhere. We got Mr. Kyle coming up. And here he
Hey,
goes.
hey,
You ready, Mr. Kyle?
I'm ready. I don't know what happened.
We can't
Can you hear me?
hear you.
Oh
Yeah, we
Lord,
got you now. We got you now.
can you hear me?
So I'm gonna let you
All
go
right,
ahead. Kyle gonna brush through it. He gonna get it done. So that's Kyle Jackson.
all right. So the first one that I'm gonna be doing is King Hetley from King Hetley the Second again. Tanya, look at that. That dirt hard. That dirt rocky, but it's still growing. I ain't never looked at no flower before. I ain't never tried to grow none. I was coming out the drugstore and they had them seeds sitting on the counter. I said, I'm gonna try this. Grow Tanya some flowers. I ain't got nothing to lose but $1. I'll pay $1 to see how it's gonna turn out. Ruben made me feel like they wasn't gonna grow. Made me feel like I should have left them there at the stove. But then they grew. It almost stepped on them. And they still growing. That's what made me think of Pernell. Pernell stepped on me and I pulled his life out by the root. What that make me? That don't make me no big man. People see me coming up the street and they turn and they go the other way. They wave from across the street. They try to pretend they don't see my scar when that's all they're looking at. I used to think Pernell put that scar on me, but I did it to myself. Pernell put this scar on my face, but I put the bigger mark on myself. That's why I need this baby, Tanya. Not because I took something out the world, but because I want to put something in it. Let everybody know that I was here. You got King Hetley II, and you got King Hetley III. Got rocky dirt, got glass and bottles, but it still deserved to live. It still deserved that chance, even if you have to call the Undertaker, even if somebody come around and pull it out by the root, still deserved to live. It still deserved that chance. I'm here, and I ain't going nowhere. I need to have this baby, Tanya. Do you understand? Levy got to be Levy, and he don't need nobody talking to him about the white man, because you see, you don't know nothing about me. You don't know nothing about what kind of blood I got, what kind of heart I got beating here. I was 8 years old when I watched a gang of white men come in my daddy's house and have to do with my mama any way they wanted. We was living in Jefferson County, about 50 miles outside of Natchez. My daddy's name was Memphis Lee Green. Had him about 50 acres of good farming land. I'm talking about good land. Grow anything you want. It was coming up on planting time, so my daddy went to Natchez to buy him some seed and fertilizer. Called me, say, Levy, you the man of the house now. Take care of your mama while I'm gone. I wasn't but a little boy, 8 years old. My mama was frying up some chicken when the men's come in the house. Had to be about 8 or 9 of them. They frying up that chicken. And they come in that house and take hold of my mama like you take hold of a mule and make them do what you want. I didn't know what they was doing to her. But I figured whatever it was, they may as well do it to me too. My daddy had a knife he kept around the house for hunting or working or whatnot. I knew where he kept it, and I went and got it. I'm gonna show you how spooked up I was about some white man. I tried my damnedest to cut one of them's throat. I hit him on his shoulder with it, but he turned around, he grabbed the knife, and he whacked me across my chest with it. And that's what made them stop. They were scared I was gonna bleed to death. My daddy came back and acted like he didn't accept the facts of what happened, but he got the names of the men from Mama. He found out who they was, and then we announced we was moving out of that county. My daddy went and smiled in the face of one of them crackers who had been with my mama, smiled in his face and sold him our land. He got us settled in. Then one day, he just took off. And I ain't seen him since. My daddy sneaked back, hiding up in them woods, laying to get them 8 or 9 men. See, my daddy wasn't spooked up by no white man, no sir. And that's what taught me how to handle him. My daddy smiled in the face of that cracker, smiled in his face and sold him our land. And the whole time he thinking about what he gonna do to him and how he gonna do it. That's what taught me how to deal with him. So y'all just leave Levy alone about the white man. Oh, I can smile and I can say yes, sir, to whoever I please. I got time coming to me. Yes, sir. Y'all just leave Levy alone about the white man. See, that's what the problem is. These black power niggas, they got people confused. They don't know what they're doing themselves. These niggas talking about freedom, justice, and equality and don't know what it means. You're born free. It's up to you to maintain it. You're born with dignity and everything else. These niggas talking about freedom. But what you gonna do with it? Freedom is heavy. You got to put your shoulder to freedom. You got to put your shoulder to it and hope your back hold up. And if you around here talking about justice, well, you got a long way. There ain't no justice. That's why they got a statue of her. They got her blindfolded. Common sense will tell you if anybody need to see she do, there ain't no justice. Jesus Christ didn't get justice. What make you think you gonna get it? That's just the way of the world. These niggas talking about they want freedom, justice, and equality. Equal to what? Hell, I might be better than you. I might be a better man than you. What make you think I want to go around talking about I'm equal to you? I don't know how these niggas think sometimes, talking about black power with their hands and their pockets empty. You can't get nothing with a gun. You can't get nothing without a gun either. They think they're going to talk their way up on it. In order to talk your way up on it, you got to have something underneath the table. See, these niggas don't understand that. If I tell you to get out my yard and leave my apples alone, I can't talk you out. You sit up out in that tree and you'll laugh at me. But if I know I might come out with a shotgun, then you might have to think twice about whether you want some apples or not. See, these niggas, they don't understand that. These niggas talking about they black and beautiful. Sound like they trying to convince themselves to me. You got to be ugly to be running around talking about you beautiful. You don't hear me say nothing like that. Shit, I know I look good. Got manners and everything. Thank you. I can't hear you, Nate.
That's me. Mr. Kyle Jackson, I don't know we got cut off a little bit, but can you just give us a little bit of the impact of August Wilson on you as an artist, you as an actor, and you as a black man?
Yeah, so I mean, practically being a black man, like how could you not be, influenced in some way by August Wilson? Like you got to be influenced in some way. The thing about it is like he has so many different versions of like what a
Mm-hmm.
black man is in his play. There's so many different versions. And like some people say, like, you don't really like there's some things that you can argue about, like the representation in some of his plays, right? The representation of women and representation of, like, you don't see any like queer black male references in his plays and stuff like that, but that wasn't really like a thing, during the times that he was writing about. But so
Mm-hmm.
we can definitely argue that, like Noah said earlier, we can definitely argue that, there's a thing about representation in his plays, and like what, you know some of the things that we don't see that we want to see. But there's a thing about August Wilson, like me being a black man, that I can't like ever turn my back on it and say like, oh, it didn't do something for me, because it definitely did in the time when we didn't really have like a lot of black actors and working, like Josh said, like
Mm-hmm.
you didn't have a lot of black actors working at one time. So his plays were giving black actors jobs, in a sense. August Wilson is, like he did for theater what, like, and I'm going to get some flack for saying this, because like of course we can't compare the writing style at all, but he's kind of doing he did in black theater what Tyler Perry is doing for black film right now, as far as like giving actors work. Like that's where the correlation
And
ends. but like that's basically what he was doing. He was giving black
mm,
actors a chance to do something when there wasn't a lot of opportunities for them to do what they're doing. So I can't ever say that August Wilson isn't important. I could never
I, I
say that.
I want to say also, just as many of the interviews that I've watched of him, and even planning for this, and just in general, and many of the actors that he's worked with, one of the things that stood out to me as a playwright, he never felt the need to step on the toes of the director, and he let his work be interpreted. He let his work be explored, and he gave notes here and there from some of the interviews from other people, but he allowed artists to breathe life into uh, what in essence was his discovery and his baby, and he didn't play that game that I see a lot of playwrights play now, where they are so gung ho and wanting to kind of keep their hands in it at all times. But he allowed his story to be taken to the next level, and I am remiss to say he has not seen his theater work now transcend to the big screen. And
Hmm.
his first installment of Fences with Denzel Washington being a producer. But thank you, Kyle. Don't go anywhere.
Yep.
You'll be able to ask Kyle some questions in a few. We got two more people coming up. Real quick, I'm gonna let Kyle take a seat and get his nerves back together. And we'll be. I have one more gentleman that I want to bring up, and then we're going to bring on our Alma Brown, August Wilson. If you did not know, he also he gave us a real wide array of black male perspectives, but he also included some really strong female roles. And some people may say they weren't as strong, or there was only a few, but his representation was really honest and from his perspective. So I want to share before we bring on Amma up. I want to share this gentleman's work. His name is Tim Craig, and he is a gentleman. Actually, he is from Alabama. He's there right now. He could not make it live with us today, so I'm going to uh, play his. He sent in a clip, so I'm going to play that for you all, and we're going to uh, just give me a second while I pull this up. And sorry, technology is not. Nope, that's not what I'm looking for. But give me 1 second. And actually, you know what? I'm gonna bring in Amma before I do that. So I'm gonna save his for last. So I'm gonna bring Amma right in, and then I'm gonna play Craig's last, Tim's last. Hello, Amma
Hello.
Brown. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
How are you? You
I'm,
are
you know.
you are you're at the tail end of this virtual performance, and that's not by any uh, happenstance. I really wanted to put you dead center in the middle because many of the women characters in his plays, despite them not always being a focal point, they were. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so most of the women were kind of central to the story that they were planning in, and we actually have Miss Alma Brown. She's a fellow Morganite, and she'll be representing the women's perspective in August Wilson's collection of plays. So I'm going to just let Alma speak about August Wilson, the legacy. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I had to catch that weight you just dropped on me and put it to the side so it didn't crush me. But
Right. I'm gonna let you speak a little bit about. I'm gonna let you speak a little bit about the legacy that you see, and from your perspective of August Wilson, and kind of speak about that women's perspective that we see threaded throughout his work as well.
Absolutely. So my experience with August, I too discovered him in middle school. I actually took my very first official drama class as a seventh grader in performing arts school in my hometown. And I watched another girl do Rose from Fences, the famous one, the one that I'm going to do, the Standing With You in Act 1 or Act 2. And I thought, I could do that better than she did. And so I asked her for the monologue. And my teacher, Mrs. Corrigan, dear, 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 dear to me, said, "Have you read the play?" And I was like, "No, I just really liked the monologue. I thought it was really good. And frankly, between you and me, I think I can do a better job." And she was like, "Well, you should read the play." And she actually went and got me a copy of August Wilson's Fences. And I read the play. And that was the first time I'd ever been introduced to August Wilson. I loved the piece. I was lucky that was the first one that I saw because Rose is among the most powerful, if not the second most powerful woman female character that he gave life to, in my opinion. Um, and so for me, I can always, and I'm a person who sees the bright side. I take from things what I need and what I want. And so I can hear the argument that the characters are not as intricately woven as some male characters. Yeah. However, I believe that there is a very definite string from Mama Esther to Mame. I believe that it actually becomes less intricate. That it is so very tangled up in the beginning, and as he writes the plays, we become less and less caught up in what is happening with the Black man. We become less caught up in what their story is. We begin to find ourselves, define ourselves, remove ourselves. I think that's why Bernice is one of the other more powerful characters, because she separates herself from her brother. She removes him. She takes the piece of the piano, which is the power piece. She takes it with her and says, nope, this is mine. I'm taking it. I don't care what you do. I'm going on about my business. Don't come up here bothering me about not a damn thing. And then when he comes, it's like, no, you didn't hear me. Let me be clear. And so I feel like by the time you get to Mame, who finds herself caught up in her husband's call to action, we'll say, and the life that she had put together for herself based around being his wife, which is what, that was her thing. I'm Harmon Wilkes' wife. That's my all right, I can do this I can do. This is easy. My mama was so-and-so's wife. I can be somebody's wife too. That's easy. And then he has a spiritual awakening, if you will. He has a revelation, because apparently all of the things his father gave him a connection to his past was not one of them. And so when it breaks through, when it takes root in him, it disrupts her world, and she wasn't ready for it. And so her reaction is not to say, okay, all right, I'm in this with you. Let's dig this dirt together. Her reaction is, oh, well, I'm sorry that you broke that vase. I hope you have a good time putting that back together. I'm gonna go over here and handle my own vase though. Excuse me. So, which I believe that is kind of that you have to look at the overall arcing story of the female characters to see what he gave to us, in my opinion.
Right.
God knows I have not in-depthly studied all of the plays. Lord knows Ma Rainey is all about Ma and her extreme female power, boom, so I get it, that there may be some nuances to it, but I believe that is where you will find the truth about August's women and what he felt about Black women overall, that we are, in my opinion, that we can learn, have to learn, do learn, or never learn to disentangle ourselves, and that is a definer in your life, that will set the molds. Okay, I'm also looking at time here and realizing that we still have to get everybody on so we can talk. So I'm gonna stop now.
Alma, you represent all of the women of August Wilson. So I
No,
wanted to give you that
put that over
opportunity.
here. Put that over here. Let's rest it over here.
But I'm a let Alma go, because we do have a question and answer at the end, and I don't want to monopolize these actors' time. So please, without further ado, Miss Alma Brown. Let me take myself out here, and it's all you.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. I'm going to be performing 3 pieces also. The first is Vera from 7 Guitars. The second is Rose from Fences. And the third is Mame from Radio Golf. It wasn't nothing to you, but it was something to me. To just have you up and walk out like that, how you think that made me feel? Did you ever want to stop and think, I wonder how Vera doing? I wonder how she feel. I laid up in that house where someplace special, someplace you had been, same bed, you walked out of, same room you turned your back on. You gave it up and you wanted what kind of sense that make? You got what you want. I didn't. That make you special. You know, you one of those people that's supposed to get what you want all the time. Floyd, I wanted to be a woman for you. I wanted you to show me all the places where you was a man. I wanted you to show me all the places where you was bruised, so I could spread myself all over you and touch you there and be a woman for you and know that you was satisfied. How you think it feel to know you can't satisfy your man? No. You say you're a woman. Vera, you're a woman, but you never believed it. You never showed me all those places where you was a man. You showed Pearl Brown. And whatever she did or didn't do, I look up and here you are at my door again after I done gave you up. After I walked the empty halls of that house for a year and a half looking for you. I spread myself across that bed, searching my body for your fingerprints. Oh, he touched me there. Lord touched me here. Oh, and he kissed me here. And he took me here. And he ain't here. He ain't here. He ain't here. He's there. There. He's there in Chicago with another woman. And all I got is a little bit of nothing. A little bit of touching. A little bit of myself left. It ain't here no more. What you searching for? What you remember? It ain't even here no more. I've been standing with you. I have been right here with you, Troy. I gave up 18 years of my life to stand in the same spot with you. Don't you think I ever wanted other things? Don't you think I had dreams and hopes too? Don't you think I wanted to lay up somewhere and forget about my responsibilities? But I took all of my wants and my needs and I buried them inside of you. I planted a seed and I watched and I prayed over it. And it didn't take no 18 years to figure out the soil was hard and rocky and wasn't never gonna bloom. But I held on to you, Troy. I held you tighter. And wherever you was going, I was going with you because I was your wife, because I was the only way I was going to survive as your wife. And upstairs in that room, the darkness falling in on me, it took everything I had to erase the doubt you wasn't the finest man in the world. You always talking about what you give. And what you don't have to give, but you take too. You take and don't know nobody's giving. I got a call from the governor's office today. They canceled my interview. And they said that they are no longer interested in interviewing with me at this time. You jumped, and I'm falling with you. I am the wife of Harmon Wilkes. That's all the governor sees. That's all the board sees. That's all our friends see. I tied myself so tightly to you that there is no more me. And I don't think I can carry this on. I have a center too. What happens when that caves in? I have questions too. You a kid acting like because you didn't get your way, you're gonna take the ball and go home. That's your problem. You always been the kid with the ball. You had the bat and the glove too. You were the only one with a bicycle when nobody else had one. Things always seem to go your way. I'm standing with you, Harmon. I still love you. But this all you. Campaign, this old house, the hill, you're on your own with all of that. I can't live my life for you, and you can't live yours for me. I'm still standing with you, Harmon. I'll see you later. Thank you.
Brown. That was Miss Alma Brown. I'm really excited. I'm gonna try to pull in everybody that I see that's still at their computers. I think Kyle's doing some acrobats.
Hi, Kyle.
Hello, Mr. Kyle. I'm gonna see if Josh is still here. And while we're waiting for Josh and and Noah to come on, I'm gonna play the last monologue, and this is from the gentleman, Mr. Tim from Alabama. He couldn't be with us today, so he sent in a clip. So give me a second. Let me cue this up. Okay. Sorry, people. Technology just don't like me today. But let me So while we're waiting on this, can you all tell me just introduce yourself again to anybody that may be just joining us, while I cue this last one up.
Hello, my name is Amma Brown. I am a actress and resident of Baltimore, Maryland, and a very good friend of, very good friend of Nate, and Kyle also. Hi, Kyle. Go Bears! Just throw that out there too.
Oh, you know what? I think I muted Kyle, and I didn't mean to. Give me 1 second, sir. I really spent too much time in the makeup room and probably the mess hall, and I didn't really. I've just been spending time backstage doing that. But Kyle is with us now. I'm gonna take Josh out and just leave you up here. So just real quick, I just wanted to give people, if anybody's watching and you want to ask these actors anything, if you want to ask them a question, if you want to just pick their brain for a second, this is your opportunity. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Y'all can hear me?
Yeah.
So if you have any questions for them, this is your opportunity. Kyle, I think you're unmuted now. So if you want to introduce yourself, this is your opportunity. Push your volume button, Kyle.
Better?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. So yeah, my name is Kyle Jackson. I am a very good friend of Nate and of Amma. We all went to school together, but I went to different schools with them. um, I am a traitor. I take that. I went to 3 schools, Nate. Like I have theater friends from 3 schools. I have theater friends from Dillard. I have theater friends from Coppet, and I have theater friends from Morgan. So you take your pick. Which group you come from?
Spreading it all over. Just spreading it all over.
I maintain that Kyle and I were supposed to be friends, that it was straight kismet, because the school I originally wanted to go to when I was graduating was Dillard. So I would have been at Dillard at the same time as him. We would have ended at the same time, obviously, because Katrina, but yeah, we would have been in school at the same time together. So
you know, that's a typical theater student. What's on time anyway? What's technically on time?
True.
But I wanted to just ask a couple questions to you all just to tie this all in. One being, befitting we did a tribute, and I was trying to figure out ways do we do scenes? No, because the sound, Wi-Fi, wind, biff is all all over the place. But I went to monologues. Can you tell us? And this is a question to both of you. What is the significance of a monologue to an actor? What does that give an actor? What's the significance of the monologue in a play like a August Wilson play? How big is that? I know that was a curveball, but
I think that in terms of story progression, monologues give characters an opportunity to speak for themselves. When you are studying a piece for performance, you look at what the other characters have to say about your character, but you also look at what your character has to say about themselves. And I would even say what they have to say about other people, because that then also speaks to who they are. And I believe that monologues just are kind of a focused opportunity for that. And then you also get that moment as an actor where, okay, it's my turn to kind of do my guitar solo, if you will. A monologue is that opportunity for an actor to kind of take center stage and say, hey, look, this is how well I understand this character. And this is what's happening in the story at this moment for this person.
Yeah.
So Josh has joined us. Let me make sure he's unmuted. Josh has joined us, and I asked the first question, Josh, like, what's the significance of a monologue in a piece like this in general, and specifically to a piece like August Wilson play? What's the significance of the monologue? And I'm gonna just finish going. Kyle, you want to go next?
Um, yeah. So for me, the significance of a monologue in August Wilson piece is definitely what Alma said about, like, of course, having that moment where you get to tell the audience something about you, not just the audience, but the um the other characters in the play. You get to tell them a piece about you, and they learn about you through that monologue. For me, I draw, and I always say this, and I've gotten, some people get really, kind of offended when I say this, and some people kind of understand what I'm saying when I say this. But if anybody knows me, I don't really care if people get offended or not. Um, I kind of would much rather they get offended. But like, what I usually say is that August Wilson for me is kind of like the Shakespeare of Black theater. Like
Mm-hmm.
like August Wilson is literally like Shakespeare in a sense that, okay, they do something different. Of course, August Wilson and Shakespeare are very different. But I say
Right.
he's the Shakespeare of Black theater is because he he writes that same type of like poetry. He writes that like the way Shakespeare wrote that poetry for his time, August Wilson writes that poetry for Black people's time, like for what it was, for Black people. And like I look at his monologues as almost like sonnets. Like his monologues are
Mm,
literally like Shakespeare
Yes,
sonnets. Like,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
like literally, like there's a rhythm. You can hear it. There, like, a lot of people say, I think from studying August Wilson, I remember hearing one of my professors say, he wrote in like jazz rhythms. Like you could hear the jazz and like the way
mm-hmm,
that his characters speak and everything. And like that's literally like the same thing that Shakespeare was doing in that time, in the Middle Ages, and in Shakespearean times or whatever. Like I'm sorry, when actors were performing his plays in the Middle Ages, like this is like what was happening. People have been
mm-hmm.
performing Shakespeare from all the way from whenever, whatever, all the way up until now, and the stuff is still relevant. It's still relevant.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
And
It's timeless. You can put it
it's
anywhere.
timeless. You can pull it anywhere, and I feel like that's the same thing with August Wilson. It's timeless. You can, like, Black people have been this have like we're different. We grow, we progress, right? But like the same type of stuff that they were saying in the '60s is the same type of stuff that we're saying now, which is like the last monologue I did from Memphis. From Two Trains Running, where he's talking about that's the issue. These Black Power niggas. I've seen people on Facebook saying that like yesterday, what he was saying
Mm-hmm.
about like that time, because there's a resurgence of all that happening right now, like where you have like the Black Power, the woke people against like the people who are like, look, I'm not trying to be a martyr, I'm just trying to live my life. Okay. And then so like there's this stuff is like never ending, this stuff is always happening. So like I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that's his plays, and then from him like doing these 10 like plays for like every decade of the century, like him doing that, he literally left us like a piece of Black history in like our history
Yes.
will always be in his plays. Like always, we could take that whenever. Like we could take that to the 200 years from now, people doing August Wilson, in what they will consider to be classic theater times or whatever, the way that we consider Shakespeare to be classic theater. People doing this hundreds of years from now, they're going to have like Black people, Black America's story in those plays, in those 10 plays that he did.
Right. And Josh, my question was again, in terms of monologues, how important are monologues in a piece like uh, August Wilson, or just in general for actors? How significant is the monologue to the actor? Not necessarily the character, but to the actor. We can't hear you. You got your headpiece? Tap on your volume button. I think I can hear you now. No.
Technology isn't our friend today.
It's not. It's saying it's giving us the big middle finger.
You can tell we theater people.
It might be
because
just the volume. We're all keeping it inside right now.
Radio teatro.
I was stressed out about.
Can't hear you at all, Josh.
We just can't hear you. He got something. Tap on the volume button. Maybe if you tap it up, okay, he will try to come back in. But
I wanted to say something. Kyle
really
said something that sparked a thought.
I know.
One of the reasons I feel like August is so timeless is because he has shown the progression of Black people while also showing the progression of African Americans while also showing the stagnation of their environment. America hasn't changed, but we have. We're growing, we're progressing, but America hasn't changed. So we have the same problems our grandparents did, our great-grandparents did. We just have them in today's world. With today's technology added to it, which makes it better and or worse, depending on how you look at it. But I feel like that's one of the things that he was so diligent in offering us is that idea that we are moving forward, we're growing, we still believe in being spiritual, but we don't necessarily believe in the incantations and all that stuff. But we grow, but we still are in the same place, and that has still required a certain amount of stagnation in our lives overall.
And one of the things that Josh, are you here?
He's there. We can see him. We just can't hear him.
One of the things that I wanted to say when I was talking to Josh, I said his work fits in so many different class structures in terms of history, music, literature, the performance arts, of course. But one of the things that happened when they opened up that African American museum, the first thing that I was looking for was representation from August Wilson, and because he's not really represented as much as I believe he should be in our Black history. That was one of the things. So I was so happy to see they gave him this whole image on the wall and really plastered his image and a lot of his pieces around that because we don't really see him that well. Are you with us now, Josh? Technology is really playing with me right now. I should have called Mr. Brown. Is your volume up? Look and see if you if you muted yourself, because you're on this side.
It should be along the bottom. Well, who knows? If you got an iPhone, I don't know what it's doing. My Android got it listed across the bottom.
So I want to say to all of you all, as we close out, because it's after 5 now, but one of the things I wanted to say to you all was I needed this, and I really appreciate you all, Noah, Joshua, Kyle, Alma, Tim, and everybody that tuned in, everybody that supported us. Jeff, of course, I had to leave him out because this was necessary for me. in this moment, like trying to be creative and trying to like quiet that creative noise I had in myself. I really wanted to um, do something for us while still helping myself to kind of get through this moment. Because most of y'all know I don't like sitting still, and it's not something that I do well. So
Capricorn.
so imagine being in this house since March the 13th and only going across the street to the market. Just imagine like where I'm at with life right now. So I really, really, really appreciate you all. I know learning a monologue, especially doing it live in front of people in this type of fashion
Oh,
isn't
Nate,
as easy.
let me tell you,
But
it was obvious that I'm a theater person, like I was saying before, because like honestly, I was so nervous about being on camera. I don't know if I'm ever gonna be able to do movies because, to be honest with you, like it rattled my nerves to like be able to see myself on camera while I'm like sitting here talking. I'm like, I cannot do
I had to
this.
ignore it. I had to pretend like it wasn't there. Like it's not
I
there. I'm not
cannot.
there. Can't see me.
Yeah.
are you still? Can we hear you now, Josh? I see your mouth moving. I'm gonna have to like interview you after the fact then. I got you for a cheesesteak.
Man.
A half and half and a chicken box. I got you.
Oh my God.
Half and half. Ooh, I haven't had a half and half.
But I've really like how have you all been throughout this? I know I'm the only one with babies, so I'm sorry. Let me say that first of all.
I'm
But how has it been
homeschooling.
for all of you all?
I'm homeschooling. I'm having fun though. It's in all honesty, it's been really good for us. We like each other. We are a family that gets along. Praise the Lord. Ain't no fighting, ain't no yelling, ain't no hollering in my house. There's a few attitudes, but those attitudes will be squelched because don't nobody got no jobs to go along with those attitudes.
Right. And see,
So,
God is really God was preparing you because you had just started working in after school programs, so He was preparing you for this moment. So
yeah,
I was really saying prayers for a lot of my friends with children, especially multiple young babies, because I know
Yeah.
that's hard.
we
Man,
try
I
to
don't
see we
know.
try to see my parents like once a week or so, just so that they have other faces to look at because they do get tired of us.
Right,
And the
right.
2-year-old's way to say he's tired of you is to just start slapping you in the face. And you can't slap him
Oh
back because
wow.
they'll come get him. So I have to
Yeah.
figure out something.
Yeah.
So are there any projects that you all want to work on, or what have you been doing with your time in
Mm.
this moment?
um, I've just been doing some writing. It's been quiet for me. I don't have any children. Um, I don't have anybody else that like really lives with me. I have like I live in a apartment in Queens, New York, so I have two roommates. But like other than that, we're all pretty quiet. So like there's no noise around here. Everything is kind of sometimes too quiet. Um,
Mm.
and but to be honest with you, like I've been just trying to do some writing because but like I can't, I'm having like a writer's thing going on, trying to wrap my mind around what it is that I want to say. I know what I want to say rather, but like how am I going to say it? So like that's what I've been grappling with right now. But like other than that, nothing too much. It's just been kind of difficult. Being in a situation where, I have the opposite thing from Alma going on right now, where Alma has the family and it's like a lot going on, like in Alma's house, and there's a lot
Can't
like
really think
to
about anything.
yeah, to be active with. But for me, it's like sitting here thinking, nobody really lives with
Hmm.
me. My mom is in Philly with Jason. I have a partner
Yeah.
that's a partner that's literally across the pond in England right now. So like wondering like when the hell are we going to see each other again? Like how is that going to happen? So
Oh
Right.
it's just
no.
yeah. So like like that's just that's just like where I am right now. But like I've been trying to use that energy to create and to create something around this because there's a lot going on and there's a lot of material here for there's a lot of material here to create from. So that's just what I've been trying to do.
The first week for me, it felt like a vacation. I was like, okay, we can do this. We had that Friday off, and by the time the second week got here, that's when you start getting all the notifications from bill collectors and giving you the nice little well, we gonna try to work with you speeches. So the
Yeah.
reality of all of this set in, and then by the time I got to the third week, I got into a really dark place in terms of being in my home by myself, and
Hmm.
I just lost. I tried to keep communication because I got to do my radio show throughout all of that. But if you look at my shows, you see like a different person from each one of those weeks. And by the end of that third week, I
Yeah.
had to like snap out of it and do
Yeah.
something because I couldn't find my comfort. Is that you,
Mm.
Josh?
Almost.
I'm gonna get you a jumbo half and half, Josh. A
Mhm.
jumbo half. But it really, like, by the end of that third week, I had to snap out of it. I feel like I was running on fumes. And I don't want to be sick. I don't want to be a part of the foolishness that is people feeling the need to go spend money and be outside and disregard the health of others. So I really, by that third week, just by a blessing
Stir
from God,
crazy.
Latonya, right? Latonya called me up to ask me how would a virtual reading go? Could we do like a reading online or something
I
on
love
Facebook Live?
Latanya.
And out of just in that one moment, I thought about 10 projects. Like, okay, let's get this done. And that just jump started me. So going into last week and this week, it was like, okay, let's get this done. I know technology is crazy. Like my home was not a home. I simply came here to sleep, and it wasn't meant for me to be cohabitating here, other than to sleep, to shower, and eat. So
Right.
Hmm.
I've had to make it a home. Like I had to get internet here and everything. So I really had to make it somewhere for me to be able to be. And I don't.
Yes.
It's not. I can. I've been in this apartment for 7 years now, going on a little over 7 years, and I can count on one hand how many of my friends have actually been here, like Kyle included. And it really like for me to like welcome you in, and you see my headboard, like that's just doing something psychologically to me. But I'm able to. It's helping me to communicate and work. I think I heard you, Josh. Was that you? I'm trying to. No, I don't. I
Almost.
don't think the internet like you. Almost. Well, I've been
Almost.
taking sign language classes, so I'm gonna send you the link because I've been learning a little bit. I've been just a little tiny bit. But any closing remarks? Again, Noah wasn't able to come back on with us. But any closing remarks you all want to say? If you type it in, Josh, then I can say it for you.
um, sorry. That's a visual cue of how I'm feeling right now. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for listening to us. If you don't know August Wilson, go and find out about him. It will only make your life better.
Now,
Right. It will only make
right?
your life better.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Echo that. If you don't know who he is, find out about it. And just, yeah, of course, thank you for this time. Thank you for this platform. Always thank you to come and watch me perform, even when I'm, nervous about it. but, yeah, like, yeah, just thanks. Thanks for the opportunity. Thank you for watching.
And Josh says, thank you so much for doing this. All you guys were awesome. Thanks. Appreciate you, Josh. I got you for that jumbo half and half. that cheesesteak from Lake Trout got you. That's my promise. That's my mission. So I'm gonna say goodbye to all these phenomenal actors. Um, uh, I'm gonna send everybody a message in the group message. So just listen out for it. About everything else. So thank you again. Peace out, everybody. I appreciate you. One love. Sit
Bye.
tight. Don't let this corona bite you.
Bye bye.
Peace out. So, phenomenal show, guys. This was another installment of uh, my series for reading theater, and I really appreciate all of you guys for sticking in there with us. This has been a little tough. This show was a little crazy, but we pushed through. We got through. I have one other gentleman that I want to bring on, and I want to make sure. Let me make sure that I get his work up here. Tim really tried his best to be here, but he couldn't. Special shout out to my man, a gentleman like Russell, Jefferson Russell. I really appreciate you for coming through, for participating. I know, this internet thing is crazy. Everybody's on it, so it's a little tight for everybody. So I really appreciate you guys sticking in there. Everybody that tuned in, everybody that was a part of it. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate you sticking in there. And I'm pulling up the video clip. I couldn't download it to the app, so I'm going to try my best to um, get it in. So without further ado, let me make sure that that's set, and I'm gonna pause that so it doesn't start, and I'm going to share it here. Get that share audio. Make sure we got audio. Come on now, internet. Maybe if I refresh, that will work. Come on, guys. It's really not feeling me right now, so maybe I'm gonna close out and I'm gonna try to do it again, and it will start now, wouldn't it? Chrome. Come on, it just started. I really think the internet hates me right now. So I'm gonna add it to the end of the video, and I'm gonna do. And watch, as soon as I do it, it's gonna start. Pull it up some. Thank you all for being patient with me. This internet thing is really stressful at the moment. There it goes. So again, I say thank you. I say thank you. I say, oh, I really appreciate you all sticking in there, and I appreciate you all staying tough, and I appreciate you all for doing this. We will continue the series, and it'll get better. I promise. I promise. I promise. And we have a couple more shows on May the 17th. We're doing a show called The Big Girl Chronicles. And that'll be with writer Nikki Scroggins, and she'll be joining us as the narrator for that piece. And that's a awesome, phenomenal play. All the information is up on our pages, the Artist Exchange page. So definitely look forward to that. While I'm talking, I'll actually put that up. So, oh no, what was that? What did I just do? Oh, okay, there we go. So this is the next show, the next installment that'll be up. The Big Girl Chronicles, written by Nikki Scroggins and co-directed by myself. And that's my YouTube, sorry. And definitely, I'm really proud of all the playwrights that have been sending me plays. So if you want to be a part of this series, please take a look. Hit me up at scenework at gmail.com if you are interested in having your piece read live. We also have an open mic series, and that's more for adults. So that's this Saturday, and then it'll be every other Saturday after that until we're out of this quarantine. And the way things are looking, I really hope to continue this virtual experience beyond just this quarantine. We don't really know when this will be over. So I wanted to give people a moment to be heard and be understood. And I appreciate you for tuning in. Please tell a friend. Please share this out. Love you always. Thank you to Jeff. Thank you to Kyle. Thank you to Alma. Thank you to Josh. Thank you to Noah. And thank you to Tim. I really appreciate you for taking that extra moment to send this in your piece. And I'm going to do my hardest to keep this going and improving every single time. Again, thank you all. Be blessed. And if you could continue to support our mission is to continue to support. I think I got one more minute left. Continue to support us. If you can, please continue to send in your donations. All the proceeds from this show and every other show that we go directly to supporting the artists that are involved. So I really appreciate you. I really do. So all the many people, see Natasha Richburg, I just saw your donation. Jefferson Russell, thank you. Thank you to everybody that continue to support this and keep it going. If you can support, we got a Cash App, Blueprints. Please support. Again, all the proceeds from this, they don't go into my pocket. They go into the pockets of all the artists that you see participating in all of these streams. I can't afford to at this moment. I'm a teaching artist out of work, so I wanted to do something to help individuals like myself, artists, teachers, and just community people, businesses, to keep on doing it. So each one we do, I'll always bring in artists, and all the funds that we are raising goes to them. So if you can continue to support in any way that you can, even if it's just sharing it out or just being on here and communicating and just being that check up on a list, please continue. And if you know any playwrights that would like this platform to be able to showcase their work, I'll greatly appreciate it. So again, this is Nate Couser of the Artist Exchange Radio Show. Tune in every Monday and Friday throughout this quarantine from 5 p.m. to 6:30. I appreciate you. I say. Peace out.
I was stuck between my grandmother's life and my own nightmare.
Blood in my pink panties, pink blood on my sheets.
He crumbled me into pieces.
That wasn't no way
to treat no wife, even if I was like carpet.
I wanted to be loved.
All kinds of shoes. Got to walk on a woman's chest. Boots, dress shoes, sneakers, cleats too. There was hardly no more love left in me. I was married to him too long.
If loving you is just a dream, then let me rest forever.